Hope you are able to see my screen. Hello?
Yes,
Are you able to hear me? Yeah. I hope you are also able to see the screens.
Amar, Isha, Shika, Nanda, Mohammed, you're able to hear us?
Yes.
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 Oh, okay, great. Okay, I think Isha has some kind of issue with the system. So
Okay.
Isha, can you hear us? Okay, Pradeep, we can start. And I can go ahead.
Yeah. In the last session, we had some introduction on the business analyst profession and what are the common areas of business analysis work, and what is a business analyst, and what kind of skill set, what kind of information the clients looks for from a business analyst. Now, we will start on our classes. Normally, everybody teaches theoretical aspects more, but in the real world, theory comes the last aspect, because most of the people work on a different kind of environment what's there from theory, and practically it doesn't happen. Because, for example, you might have noticed that every phase need to be signed off, and then only the work starts. But in the practical project, I mean in the real life project, probably 1 out of 100 or 2 out of 100 may follow that, and the majority of them will be having a different set of guidelines. It's because it's like the practical deviation, and you may have limitation to have all the approvals in place and start the work. So what they do is like it's a temporary sign off, or it's kind of a temporary go ahead, or it's kind of some conditional sign off. All these are things which comes into picture, and the documents, everything goes through each phase, and everybody reviews each phase, and they give it some kind of tentative approvals. And there may be some regulatory changes which comes suddenly when you are in the final stages of the project. So all these kind of things it need to be accommodated. Now we will have our sessions which more oriented towards a practical way. I mean, when you say practical way, what we mean is like you have theory, and then you will also have the your works with the tools which you normally use in the BA profession. So today we will start off the session with Visio 2, so that when our next class happens, in the next class you will have some assignments which you probably have to use the tools and come up with the assignment output. Mostly all the projects or all the project artifacts will have some kind of diagrams, and because everybody uses diagrams, because that's the best way people could understand what the system does, or what kind of project you are doing, or what kind of role each of the stakeholders has, or what kind of interactions you are having. So flowchart is one of the basic tools where you could represent this kind of information. And in the flowchart itself, you have different types, and hope you all are aware of some kind of flowchart information. And would you let me know how far you got a flowchart and flowchart information? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yes. Yeah. Can you let me know how far you are comfortable with flowchart? I mean, what's your understanding of the flowchart?
Flowchart, I think so. The flowchart is the basic thing of the planning execution, and to make the planning that how your plan will be executed, and what are the different steps of your planning, which you are basically making a diagram so that
Okay.
the one can easily understand the things that this step what is going on, and the next step what is going on, and how can it be finally completed. So I think so this is a flow chart.
Okay. And how about the next participant? Hello.
I'm also aware of, hi, this is Shikha. I'm also aware of flowcharts. I've done this before. So I'm pretty comfortable. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So so most of you are comfortable with the flowchart. So what we'll do, we'll go with a new version of what you say. The currently most of the organization use a different kind of flowchart, what you might have used from the traditional way. So we'll go with that. So how many of you are worked on cross-functional flowchart? Yeah.
Demo. BA.
Hello. Hello. So how many of you are comfortable with the cross-functional flowchart? How many of you have worked on that?
No, I don't know about the idea of cross-functional flow chart.
Okay. We will see the cross-functional flowchart because since all of you have an idea of how a normal flowchart is, the difference between a cross-functional flowchart and normal flowchart, you might have observed that when you draw a normal flowchart, one of the common thing which you come across is like each of the boxes what you use. You need to know. Yeah. Hello. Would you have to mute because some of the I think some of the audience having mics open, so it's some noises coming in. Yeah. So you might have used the traditional flowchart, so that you might have encountered every time because you have a small box and you have some limitation of what you can write in the box, and also whenever each box is given, you need to say who is performing that action or where it is happening, or all these kind of things. When you have a cross-functional flowchart, it's quite different. So I will show you one of the example of a cross-functional flowchart, and then we will take it from there. I hope you are able to see my screen. We see a simple cross-functional flowchart. So you might have noticed this. So this is why you might have seen the difference from your normal flowchart. So here we have a description on what this flowchart represents, some kind of information based on the project you are working, to let the audience or to let the people who access this document know that what this process flow diagram represents. And when you say cross-functional flowchart, it actually comes from the business process modeling, because in business process modeling, every time you have an action, you always try to represent who does that action in some kind of way, so that every time you don't write in a descriptive manner to show who is doing that. So we bring this concept actually from the BPM space, and though we represent it's called flowchart, it's basically a process flow or flowchart, because flowchart is a word commonly used at a very low level. So in practice and in your projects, you don't use flowchart. So when you say flowchart, that degrades the document to a very severe down level. So you always have to say process flow. So that is an industry term that will be used in the business analyst profession. So this is the same simple flowchart which has two parties. So when you say two parties, it is like two participants in the actions of flowchart, and you have a third factor which is time. I mean, the flowchart actually goes down from when you go down in this direction from top to down. It actually happens in the due course of time. That is, it's like when you have this action, the start, probably it's at the time 0, and each of the action happens like time 1, time 2, time 3, and it goes ahead and happens at the last stage of the time. So it's like a diagram which represents a sequential flow on the basis of time of actions. And in this we have two parties. One is a customer user and one is a bank user, because this flowchart represents one of the bank system, like how customer interacts with the bank, and mediator is one of the transactions. So you find that the boxes, you have a start. Start denotes your action starts at that particular point, and then you find that there is a process box, and you also find two kinds of process. You can also see the various boxes over here, and this box basically represents the rectangle box represents a standard process, and this inline box represents predefined process. So it's like when you say a transaction creation, this is a high-level process flow diagram. So when you say transaction creation, that means there are a lot of activities happens as part of transaction creation, and it's not a single activity. So probably you may have to open some application, then after opening application you have to sign in, and after signing in you have to input some data, and then you have to validate the data, but data is correct or something, and then you have to authorize the transactions. I mean, authorize means some kind of transactions made by two parties. All these things you have to do. So this basically represents a very high level action. So that activity. And then is a decision box. So you might have noticed that your transaction creation happens at one place, and the next action of checking one activity happens at the second place. So this place is called a swimline diagram, and each of these parties represent one of the swimline. So audience has a big advantage. Is like you do not explicitly say each action taking place by whom or where or what. So when I see about transaction creation under this line, that means the action transaction creation happens or done by the party called bank user or back office system. And when I see something over here, it's called some activity happened by customer user, and it may be at the different place. So I go as customer user front end system. So it's two different users, two different parties, and two different systems they are acting. So if I would have had a detailed process flow properly, bank user will be another swim lane, back office system another swim lane, and customer user another swim lane, and front end system another swim lane. So this is a basic difference, and we'll also see how you create this kind of diagram. And this is a MS Office Visio tool, and this is one of the most commonly used process flow diagram or flowchart tools as part of your BA profession. And some organizations do have some kind of BPM tools. That's what there are a lot of BPM tools available in the market. They may use that also to create this process flow diagrams. So we will see how to create a process flow diagram. And again, I will show you one more diagram. This is called vertically placed line, and you can have one more time called so I do have, because I used mostly. Sorry, I don't have any predefined diagram for other time. So we will see as part of our creation activities. So this the one which we saw. It's actually a vertical diagram. So when you want to create a new, basically you have an option called File, and when you click on File, you will be able to see the various options. And if you want to, this is typically similar to your MS Office or Microsoft Word or Microsoft Excel kind of actions, whereas new is for creating new to artifact, and open is for browsing the file location. Like you can browse your files. It shows a recent files which are opened. If you want to browse something new, you can click on this computer icon and you can browse it. And this menus will have slight difference with the versions what you are using, because I use Amazon VCO 2013. Probably 2010 and 2011 might have some kind of different variation in the menu. But at a very high level, you can say that this menu comes exactly in the same way and the similar function as in MS Office tools, like MS Word, MS Excel, and other aspects. So we are going to create a new. I'm going to create a new cross-functional flowchart. So when I click new, I will have be shown various options, and I can select that. So this is a cross-functional flowchart. So the default simline I have used vertical, because I'm the project which I would have on for something as more diagram. So for me, it's comfortable with the vertical simline. So you need to decide based on the diagram which you are going to prepare, whether it's comfortable for a swim lane or it's comfortable for a horizontal swim lane. And also one more thing you need to be very careful is that whenever you present a diagram, you not to overcrowd too many things, because when you overcrowd too many things, the audience may not appreciate that. So the first thing you have to identify is like what you are going to draw. You have to list down in a paper or you have some occasion, or you can use MS Excel to see what actions you need to list down, and then see see it as a high level thing. Say suppose you have 10 sub activities, like say for example you're going to prepare a tea. So for example, so you need to have some kind of instrument where you need to bring up water to a normal boiling point temperature. So that one option, and then after boiling point temperature, you may have to put some kind of tea powder, tea bags to make it in the black tea. And then if you want to add milk, then you have to add the milk. So at a very high level, these are the 3 stages of process. So probably you can visualize that saying that take water and process water. Say process water, when you say that means you go to heat water and bring up to some kind of temperature, all those things. And then you can have that like process your tea making part, and then end. So this is a very high level process flow. So in that case, there are two parties. When one is the user and another is the system which you are working on. So this could be probably you may find representing as at a very high level. So the first diagram you need to represent it is a very high level, and the second diagram you can represent each of these activities in a detailed way. And when you say detailed way, for example, you may have different modes to bring the water to a boiling temperature. One may be a microwave, one may be your traditional flame-based systems, or there may be electric heaters. So all these are various options. Probably you may have to use as alternative parts, or it may be the same parts with a different flow. Okay, so you can also, at the time of creation, you can select what kind of orientation you want. So as I said, this is a vertical streamline orientation. So if you want to flip across horizontal, you can click on this. So this is a horizontal diagram. So this is a horizontal assembly. For example, we consider the process of tea making. So it's like tea. So it's always better based on the project you are working, you can use some kind of activities to denote. The namings should be useful so that the participant is, your stakeholder is able to understand what this diagram represents. So we are just considering one of the basic examples, so most of them, most of you might be knowing. So, so it's like one of the user, the person who wants tea and who is going to prepare it. System. System, when you say system, it's somewhere the user has to heat it and prepare it. So the first level activity is like you have And before that, if you want to add some more extra swim lanes, so you can use, actually you have a swim lane buttons in here. So you can actually drag it and drop it. So it will bring another swim lane. And if you want to have some kind of width adjustment, you can click on here. And if you click here, you can actually drag it to change that width and other aspects. And you can also directly, if you have already a diagram, you can directly flip it to another format using this orientation. But when you do this way, you need to be very careful, because if you have plotted the flow chart, then the contents, layout, everything may get distorted. So before drawing, you have to see which is the best suitable one, whether horizontal or symmetric. And to know which part is more suitable, so you can identify, like, say, if you have a lot of boxes, then probably but one or two parties probably you could use in a normal horizontal way. Or if you're finding a lot of steps which is happening on a different part of time, probably you can try the vertical plane. Are you able to follow? Hello? Hello?
Yes, Pradeep.
Yes, I do understand.
Yeah.
If you have any doubts, please feel to raise at any point of time, so that you also can catch up with the things. And I hope you are able to understand till what we talked. So can we know why we use swimlane diagrams?
Explain it better.
Pardon? Okay. Oh, what I mean, since we just talked about swimlane diagrams, so what difference you find, or what is the biggest advantage in swimlane diagrams compared to the traditional flowchart?
It is easy to understand.
Okay. So basically, it shows the multiple stakeholders or multiple interactions between various components in your project in a better way, so that each components can be represented by each lane, so that your stakeholders will be able to know what the diagrams or what flowcharts you are preparing in a better way. So we just considered that tea making. So we will see how we can represent. So first we have a start. Then we have a predefined process where the user decides on T. And then there will be some system where this T creation is happening. It may have some kind of interactions with the system and the user. And once the T creation is done, then probably your user will be consuming the T. So this is a very high level process. So you place the diagrams and action boxes. Now you need to connect it. So basically you have here connector tools. So you can use that and connect it. So basically you have to click on your starting box, I mean the boxes which from where you want to connect to the other box. So, and each of the boxes will have 4 connecting points from where you can click and you can drag. And there is an end. And another key aspect when you draw this diagram is that you need to place this if there are more than 5 or 6 boxes, you may not be able to draw in a by using a lot of spaces. So you need to arrange your boxes accordingly so that you can optimize the space and you can show as many components in detail. And you should have only one start and you should have only one end. And if there are multiple starts, like say for example alternative flows, you could represent as one of the diagrams saying alternative flow, or like this. Because, and also you need to see this alternative flow originates from where. So I'm considering in my case as the alternative flow originates from the user side. So I place an alternative flow box over here. So that means there is one more flow probably which system could have, and based on your project you could explain each of the alternate flow by way of illustrations and the detailed diagrams. Hope you are clear about this. Now we will see how we can make it this is a vertical swimlane. So you can click this. So this is a diagram already converted to vertical swimlane. But you might have noticed the diagram what you are listed and what you are seeing now is entirely different because your meaning of the diagram is lost. So this is the key reason why I mentioned that whenever you use orientation swap, after plotting you should be very careful. And since all of you know the process flow or how a basic flowchart works, I'm not explaining each of the boxes or each of the components inside the flowchart. So since this is the most commonly used type of flowchart in the real business world. And why it is being used? Because it clearly shows the stakeholders who are the parties or who are the components interacting and what is the outcome and where is the outcome. So that's the biggest advantage and of this Simulink diagrams. And it's like if you want to use formats, you can probably have various format options and the shape styles. And basically, it's better to use one without much shades because that helps out helps you to put some kind of text information so that it's clearly visible to the your stakeholders. And some cases you are placing diagrams in a different way, so you can align your diagrams using the options align. So you can have auto alignment and auto where you want to place it, or if you want to horizontally place, vertically place that also you can use it. So you have those various options. Auto align. So again, if you want to put on auto alignment and space, that you can use it. So, or align top, that also you can use. So when you plot it, you have to ensure that the diagram is in a proper structured way. So you can also manually arrange this way. By dragging across the icons. It's all this inside the functions is exactly same as your normal flowchart. Only key difference is like where you place each boxes is critical. Each boxes should be placed in the swim lane representing that particular action, performer, or particular system, or particular component. Whereas in your traditional flowchart, if you might have noticed, so I'm placing a box over here, and this two boxes. So when I place this box, everything happens in one system. So whenever you use a diagram, so each and every time you need to actually mention who is performing this action. You will see the same diagram over here. Okay, it's the same diagram which we have discussed earlier. So you might have noticed the difference. Here you just have alternative user, process, deviation, consumability, and the end. Now where you can know who is performing this action or where it is happening. So every box you need to mention that who is the person who is performing that action and where it is happening. Because you don't have any differentiation here. As if you see this other pattern, as a stakeholder, you can know the action is performed by which user. So this is the biggest advantage, and that's the reason in the industry everybody appreciates Simulink diagrams. Hello? Is there any queries? Hello? And since you might have used the Visio tools, you might functions and commands inside that Simulink is same. Only thing is that the way of representing Simulink, you need to have some kind of information processing based on your project. So if you are into a project, you need to see what are the components or what are the different components in your project which you want to represent in your diagram, and based on that you need to have that many kind of symbols. In some cases you also need to see like whether you need to represent it separately or it's as a combined way. So it all depends on your project. So when you are having a project based on your understanding of the project objectives, you will be able to come to know this. And it's, as a BA, you are supposed to analyze that information and see how you can represent this diagram. For example, we take, I'm not sure because all of you from a different profession, so we may be, it may be very difficult to draw a common example. So now we will take a supermarket, maybe a Walmart. So when you have Walmart, so when you are going to buy something from Walmart, so you have to write a process flow diagram on how you purchase things from Walmart. Probably you can look that as an assignment and see how you can represent in a process flow chart with Simulate. So probably you can come back with that diagram as an assignment and see how better you understand about the flow chart in a cross-functional representation. Since this is a commonly known process for all of you, so that you may be able to represent it, probably you can talk in your assignments to Mark. So our assignment is how to make a purchase from a Walmart store. And when you say how to make, so you need to have like the entire process, like you start from home to buy and return. So this is the entire process flow. So you need to have this entire process flow in the diagram. And for the tool, MS Office Visio comes with 30-day trial version. So all of you can download it from Microsoft website. For 30 days, it's free. And if in case you have already installed a trial version, probably then you may not be able to install because it looks for the machine ID and it's for one machine ID once, as long as it's not formatted. And alternatively, if you have some Office tools in your machine, you could also use that. Or if you don't have the Visio, the other option is like in OpenOffice, there is a component which exactly represents the Visio kind of stuff. So you can use that to represent, draw your assignment. But I want a detailed process flow and one high-level process flow for the assignment. So that is two diagrams you need to prepare, one with a detailed representation and one with a high level. And if you want to write some text over here, you can use this text options. And if you want to write some additional information, probably you can send call out denotations to each of the box places where you want to denote that. So these are some kind of additional information you are trying to put in your diagram. But the industry practice is not to have this kind of additional representation in a cross-functional diagram. Or we can explain in a descriptive manner as an addendum to your process flow diagram. And this diagram shapes, all of you know, it's the same diagram shapes which you use in a normal flowchart. The only difference is the action representation. One moment. So, would you explain about your understanding of cross-functional flowchart based on our discussions we had? Each of you. Can you please one by one explain about your understanding of cross-functional flowchart? Hello?
Yes, as concerned about the cross-functional flowchart, in the cross-functional flowchart, we can easily determine that how the process is flowing at the which stage. Like you can say that in tea making, you are making on the initials, we can easily determine, like stakeholder, easily determine that this is for the users, and this system it will go for the operations or systems, and how it will come out. So in this way, every stakeholder can easily determine its own position, that where the uh, process is standing at which stage. So that's
Yeah.
what I understand.
Yeah. And please, the next person.
Yeah, in cross-functional flowcharts, we can easily determine how the process is flowing at what stage for which stakeholder, basically what stage it has reached, and how it will be going in the next steps.
Okay. Yeah. Next, please.
Cross-functional flowcharts are like better to show a relationship between the different business processes and the department that will be responsible for those processes.
Yeah. And we have one more to explain. Hello. We have one more participant to explain the understanding. Hello. It seems the participant is not able to hear us. Probably we will carry our discussions. So as we said, it's actually represent the relationship between various components and process in the project which you are working. So that's the exact way of putting across. And when you use the stakeholder word, you need to be a bit careful, because in a diagram you actually represents the stakeholders' expectations. It's not the stakeholders. And the stakeholders' expectations may be you through various kind of systems or process or components, where you have some kind of information to be taken, and some kind of information processing, and then some kind of output. So you need to be very careful when you use stakeholder word. So stakeholder is like the physical parties in your project who has a say on the project. And when you talk about in diagram, it's the different components or different units or different business processes, and each line represents the business relations, how the process flows between various components. So this need to be very careful. So the word stakeholders. The word stakeholder is actually some kind of, it may be a physical person, or maybe some kind of virtual person, or it may be some kind of a system also. And when you prepare cross-functional flowchart, always ensure that diagram is small, and if there is a possibility that when you insert this in your Word document, probably most of the VA outputs comes in terms of documents, and it mostly in terms of your MS Word or MS Excel, some kind of artifacts, and it depends on your project. Suppose if you want to insert this diagram in a Word document, most of us do insert it as a picture. So when you insert it as a picture, the biggest disadvantage is that every time when your process flow diagram gets modified, you need to go into the source and modify it and then insert it. And audience also may not be able to modify it based on the understanding. Suppose you moved out one of the project from one of the project and you handed over the assignments to some other participant or some other replacement of you. If you are using as a pictures, probably when he gets the document, any modification he need to recreate all these Visio diagrams. So you need to always use an option, insert it as the component what you use, whether it's a Visio or whether it's a screenshots, based on it. If you are using some third-party tools to create such artifacts, put insert it as a object of the third-party tool. For example, I am showing this insertion of this Visio diagram. So basically, you have an option in the insert as object, and inside this you can insert as a Microsoft Visio diagram. And also you need to see that when you are inserting the diagram, you need to ensure that it based on the tools your standard process library offers. Suppose if you are inserting in the 2013 version Visio diagram, it may not open in 2010 or lower versions. So then in that case you need to have a reverse compatible Visio file. So while saving, you have to ensure that it is in a format where your stakeholders can access. Suppose as a BA you might have access to the Visio 2013, and some of the stakeholders may have access to Visio or may not have access. Even if they have access, it can be 2007, 2003. So you have to ensure that you save in a format which all of your stakeholders can open it and view it. So I'm inserting this as a Visio diagram in my document. See, when you default insert it as a diagram, it may not appear in your full page. So you need to adjust it using your format or text size. See, when you crowd too many boxes in your diagram, so the problem comes when you try to insert in the document. So always you need to ensure that whether the your stakeholder opens MS Visio or in document, your diagram should be clearly visible. So you can break into multiple smaller diagrams. So the advantage is that even you can insert this document, this block, your Visio diagram in the document as a 100% view, and I'm able to view the diagram without zooming or without opening in Visio. But in some cases, it may not be possible because it's a single component where all the actions are happening. You cannot split it across in the multiple diagrams. In that case, you have to insert this way. And in that case, audience can open it in a Visio, or they can zoom it and view it the details. So this is the advantage when you insert it as a Visio file. So as whoever is having the file, they can modify by opening in the diagram. So when you say modify it may be the authentic stakeholders who want to give you some inputs. And another thing is that whenever you send artifacts to the audience, and it may have passed through various versions and iterations. So always you need to have a version history and preferably track changes in Microsoft Excel so that your recipient should not scan across the entire document to see what is the difference. So when you use track changes, the advantage is that you just need to see what are the changes made and he can modify that. And when you give a version history, the another advantage is that he knows what is the background, which changes, why this changes happen. And some organizations will have, like, apart from these, they also will have what are the changed information, so old and new. So this gives more benefits. So like if there are 10 changes, he will have the information, 10 changes, old and new at a single place. It may not have to go into the documents. So hope you are clear why it is critical to break your diagram in a smaller components and what it makes difference to your stakeholder. Because most of the cases, what will happen if you are putting across too much crowded diagrams and it goes for review. The stakeholder may not even tend to look into that because it's too complex for him to understand. Because you need to see that your stakeholder may not be a systems guy or he may not be a process guy who works on this kind of artifacts. Like for example, if it's HR head, he may be a person who is designing most on the strategies front on how to interact with people and how to work with people. He may not be the person who always documents these things. He may have some key resources who can help him uh, document these things. So that's the way you have to see. You have to talk in a language which your stakeholders understands, and so that they can appreciate your information and the artifacts, and they can give a proper sign off, and they can give a proper value addition to your input.
Hello?
Hello, Pradeep, you there? Hello, Pradeep? Can you hear me? Okay, I think there could be a technical problem. Just let me call him and have check. What happened. Sorry for that.
Today we will wind up with the session with assignment, and what you can do, yeah, I will share. You can submit your assignment to Mr. Mark, and he will share that assignment with me so that I can review each of your assignment and give your feedback. Because we may not be able to discuss everybody's assignment in the session because it takes a lot of time, and it may not, because everybody's understanding on the diagram will be different. So what we will do, we will have the review, individual reviews, and I will give the feedbacks, and then we can have a session where you will give your thoughts on your diagram and what went in your thought process, a small 5-minute session on what is the diagram and how you represented each components, so that among you it will be a good interaction, so that each of you will be able to know how to process the information. So is that okay? Hello?
Yes, Pradeep, that's fine. Okay, so here
Yeah.
it is
Okay.
giving the access for the training blog. Okay, I'm going to create a training blog. So, there I'll be giving the access to you. So the assignments will be posted in the training blog. So where you can download it and you can work on the assignments and you can upload it back. Okay. So where the training blog will also contain, all the sessions videos, because all these videos are recorded, and we'll be uploading this video in the training blog. Okay. So you can go through videos, and if you have any questions, you can post the questions in the training blog. So I'll be giving the blog access tomorrow, which is on Tuesday morning. Okay. So you have any questions to me or to Pradeep?
No.
Okay. So Amar, do you have any questions? Mohammed, Nanda?
No, yes, it's
No,
fine.
nothing so far.
Okay.
Nothing.
So here I think you are able to understand the class about the business analyst, or because we just started. I do understand. I mean, whatever being explained by the trainer, so you're able to understand, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, Pradeep, you can go ahead.
Yeah. Today's session we completed, Mr. Mark. So what I will do, I will share the assignments with you. So the students can submit the assignments. So I will be able to review that and will give you the will give you the feedback so that you can send back to the student so that they can know that improvement part. And going forward, whenever we have a particular session, we will be having assignments which you may have to use these tools to bring up your assignment outputs. So basically, your assignments will have two sections. One which you have to use some tools to bring out that output, and one which will have some kind of document artifacts which you need to produce as part of your work. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. So with this, we wind up our session. Happy evening to all.